lovely to meet you. I'm Danielle with HeyUGuys. Nice to meet you. So what is it about the Godfather, one of the greatest movies of all time, that has made it's lasted the test of time?
You know, I think, there's, to me, part of the reason is that you've got somebody like Coppola who really understood that he had this opportunity to make something really new. I like to tell the story about 4 years before The Godfather came out. There was a movie that Paramount released called The Brotherhood, which was about a returning vet who has to struggle with his mafioso family. Sound familiar? Nobody remembers that movie. And so Paramount was scared to make a mafia movie because that movie tanked. But Coppola saw something deeper, saw something more interesting. That was his whole idea of the new Hollywood, was to look beyond just the sort of bright lights and just make a movie of Hollywood and go much more significantly deeper. And he did everything he could to make it perfect. And that is why this movie is so important. Changed everything in the way we see things, from something that was just very Hollywood into something completely new.
And I'd say, as an archivist, what is exciting for us during this process is that, and what we live for as an archivist and doing these restorations is finding that new audience. And Francis is always one that wants to tinker and tries to make these films find a new audience. And that's why, we've gone over the library, the films that he owns, the films that he's worked on over the last 50 years, and revisit them, do new cuts. We did a new cut of Godfather 3, The Death of Michael Corleone, and tweak it enough. And he likes to toy with his films. He always has a little final thing that he wants to do or never was able to do when the film was originally released, and he likes to change it because he thinks, maybe things will work. Maybe people will understand it a little differently and try to adapt it to a modern audience, try to push it so a new audience, he could find a new audience for his films.
It's amazing. He's always evolving. He's always pushing it. His art, you can just tell like he lives and breathes it,
A lot of filmmakers, once the film is shot, they will never look at it again. But Francis is never like, he will always sit with me and watch the films, and he loves it. He'll tell the greatest stories about his films, and he appreciates his films, but he'll always say to me, I remember I wanted to do something different about that. I wasn't able to do that. And he will say, maybe now I can do that. Maybe not. Well, maybe they'll let me do that.
And he never tells the same story either.
Yeah.
Whenever he's interviewed, he's telling new and different stories about the films he's made and bringing new insight to him. It's somebody that's always thinking, and that's what makes The Godfather great.
Well, it's an important thing about storytelling. You got the same story over the last thousands of years. It's changed, and you could change the story. It's the same meaning, the same concept, but you can adapt it to the audience that you're telling it to. So.
Fascinating. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey